Dr. Nagao, as we move on to our next story. The Trump administration has announced that it will withdraw around 700 federal immigration enforcement agents from Minnesota, leaving around 2,000 agents in place. The reduction comes after weeks of backlash from the state's Democratic leaders who have opposed the unprecedented deployment of federal agents in the state. The operation, named Operation Metro Surge, has resulted in numerous protests and clashes with residents after 2 U.S. citizens were fatally shot by ICE officers. The White House border czar Tom Homan maintained that the deportation campaign was necessary for public safety, but both Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey called the move insufficient. They continue to demand the end of the operation, which they say has caused harm to local communities and businesses. The drawdown leaves nearly 2,000 ICE agents still deployed in the state, a number that many consider still too high.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard.
Joining us now to discuss the ongoing situation in Minnesota is Professor Rohan Gunaratne, an international affairs expert, joining us live from Singapore. Thank you very much for joining us to discuss this. 700 of the nearly 3,000 troops have now withdrawn. Do you think this is enough to de-escalate tensions in this highly volatile situation in Minnesota?
Certainly, Thomas, because the situation in Minnesota has created a lot of unhappiness. And I believe that the decision to withdraw those troops will give a level of comfort and will eventually lead to a settlement on the part of those factions that have disagreed with each other. So also President Trump in many ways has regretted what happened, but he also wants to demonstrate his leadership. That is why he specifically said that they are dealing with very hardcore people. But what is important is, at the end of the day, this is the United States. They have to resolve their disputes and their difficulties. Otherwise, there will be significant unhappiness which will reflect in the midterm elections.
Indeed, and of course now we've seen a different approach. Donald Trump there admitting that a softer touch is needed when it comes to ICE operations. He removed the head of those actions in Minnesota, Gregory Bovino, and has put in his border czar Tom Homan. Is this a concession from Donald Trump here? And do you think we're going to be seeing a different approach from the US president when it comes to his operations going forward?
I believe so, because Trump has gone deep into the issue and he knows the implications of this discord and discomfort persisting. He knows how it is going to affect his popularity. And of course, he has appointed people whom he trusts. And that is also important, because you have to work with people who you trust, but will also do what is right. So we all hope that the situation in Minnesota will improve for the sake of building harmony in that great city.
Indeed. And of course, this comes after the shooting of 2 US citizens, the fatal shooting of 2 US citizens. How does the Trump administration look after this? We've seen protests worldwide. We're now approaching a No Kings protest coming at the end of this month, what is said to be the largest anti-government protest in US history. How has these actions in Minnesota affected Donald Trump's national image?
It has affected him very negatively. That is why he has taken a different tone, a more soft approach That is why he has made some amends. And I hope that this is a learning experience for everyone. Because in a country, if this happens, then there is unhappiness. The scale of protest that you described very clearly demonstrates the sentiments of the people. And there must be a de-escalation, and Trump is now taking very significant steps towards that de-escalation.
Professor Gunaratne, do stay with us as we turn over to our next story. The president